My husband told me his mother needed emergency surgery, so I wired him $89,000 from my inheritance. 3 days later, I saw him proposing to another woman on Instagram with a ring that cost exactly $89,000. I immediately froze all our joint accounts and canceled the lease on our penthouse. Within hours, I had 47 missed calls. He screamed, "Are you insane? I have business meetings tomorrow. How will I explain being locked out?" I replied with just one sentence that made both him and his mistress's blood run cold. The morning started like any other Saturday. I was in my home studio in Brooklyn, editing photos from a corporate shoot. As a freelance photographer, I'd built my business from scratch over the past 8 years. Hartley and Frame Photography. My name, Madison Hartley, was becoming known in the industry. Not famous, but respected. Enough to pay my bills and save for the future. My husband, Trevor Walsh, was supposedly in Boston. His mother, Patricia, had fallen down the stairs, or so he told me, 5 days ago. "Mad, it's serious," he'd said, his voice breaking over the phone. "They're saying she needs spinal surgery. The insurance won't cover it all. We're looking at $89,000 out of pocket." $89,000. The exact amount my grandmother left me when she passed 2 years ago. I'd been saving it, protecting it, planning to use it as a down payment on a house for Trevor and me. "Trevor, that's my inheritance," I'd whispered, my throat tight. "I know, baby. I know what I'm asking. But she's my mother. If something happens to her because we couldn't afford the surgery, Mad, I can't live with that. We can't live with that." I remembered Patricia's kindness when Trevor and I got married 3 years ago, how she welcomed me into the family, how she called me every Sunday just to chat. How could I refuse? "Okay," I said finally. "I'll wire it tomorrow morning." "Thank you, Madison. Thank you so much. I promise we'll pay you back, every penny. You're saving her life." That was 5 days ago. I wired the money immediately. $89,000. Gone in seconds. My grandmother's legacy, the result of her frugal life, running a small flower shop in Vermont, transferred to Trevor's account for his mother's surgery. Trevor said he'd stay in Boston for the surgery and recovery. "It might take a week or two, babe. I need to be here for her. You understand, right?" I understood, or I thought I did. For 5 days, I heard nothing. No updates about the surgery, no photos of Patricia in recovery, just brief text messages. "Busy at hospital. Talk later. Surgery went well. Mom's resting. Love you." Cold. Distant. But I told myself he was stressed, exhausted, worried about his mother. This Saturday morning, I was scrolling through Instagram while my coffee brewed. Just mindless scrolling. Other photographers' work, travel accounts, food bloggers, the algorithm's endless feed. Then I saw it. A post from an account I didn't follow. @SerenaLuxLife. The photo showed up because my friend Violet had liked it. The image was stunning, I had to admit it. A rooftop restaurant in Manhattan, I recognized the skyline, the lights of the Chrysler building glowing in the background. In the foreground, a young woman with flowing auburn hair, maybe 26 or 27, wearing a white silk dress. She was crying, her hands covering her mouth, and kneeling in front of her, holding open a Tiffany blue box with a massive diamond ring inside, was my husband, Trevor Walsh. My coffee mug slipped from my hand. It shattered on the hardwood floor, brown liquid spreading like blood. I couldn't breathe. I zoomed in on the photo, my hands shaking so violently I could barely control the screen. It was him! Absolutely him. Same dark hair, same broad shoulders, same navy blazer he'd bought last month, the one I had helped him pick out at Bloomingdale's. The caption read, "She said yes to forever with my soulmate. I knew the moment I met you that you were the one. Here's to our future together. #engaged, #foreverlove, #she said yes." Posted 2 hours ago. From Manhattan, not Boston. The comments were already flooding in. "Congratulations! That ring is stunning! You two are perfect together. So happy for you both." I scrolled down with numb fingers, looking for any detail, any explanation that would make this make sense. Then I saw a comment from the account, @PatriciaWalshOfficial. Trevor's mother. "Welcome to the family, darling. I couldn't be happier. My son chose well." I stared at that comment for a full minute. Patricia Walsh, the woman who supposedly just had emergency spinal surgery, the woman who was supposedly in a hospital bed recovering, the woman I just gave $89,000 to save her life. She was commenting on Instagram, congratulating my husband on his engagement to another woman. My vision blurred. The room tilted. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was calculated, planned, executed. I clicked on Serena's profile. It was public. Of course it was. She wanted the world to see it. Her feed was a curated collection of luxury. Designer handbags, first-class plane tickets, champagne brunches, spa days, and scattered throughout, starting about 4 months ago, were photos of Trevor and her. Trevor's hand holding hers at a restaurant. Trevor's reflection in her sunglasses on a beach. Trevor's jacket draped over her shoulders. Never his face fully visible, always just hints, just enough. But the captions told the story. Falling for someone unexpected, 3 months ago. When you know, 2 months ago. He's worth the wait, 1 month ago. And today, she said yes. I scrolled back through the photos, my stomach churning. There, 2 weeks ago, a photo of a Tiffany & Co. storefront. Caption, "He's been acting suspicious. Could it be?" He'd been planning this for months. And the ring? I zoomed in on today's proposal photo, focusing on the ring in the Tiffany box. It was enormous. A cushion-cut diamond at least 3 carats, surrounded by a halo of smaller stones set in platinum. I knew rings. I'd photographed enough weddings to know. That ring cost at least $89,000. Exactly, $89,000. My inheritance, my grandmother's life savings, the money I wired to save his mother's surgery. He'd used it to buy an engagement ring for his mistress. The pain that hit me then wasn't sharp. It was a dull, crushing weight that pressed down on my chest, making it impossible to breathe. I sat on the floor in the puddle of spilled coffee, surrounded by broken ceramic, and I couldn't move. 3 years of marriage, 3 years of building a life together, 3 years of trust. All of it was a lie. My phone was still in my hand. I looked at it. The screen showed Serena's smiling face, Trevor kneeling, the ring sparkling. And then something inside me shifted. The crushing weight lifted, the pain transformed into something else, something cold, something sharp. Clarity. I stood up, I stepped over the broken mug, I walked to my desk, and opened my laptop. First, I called my bank.
"This is Madison Hartley," I said to the bank representative. My voice was surprisingly steady. "I need to freeze all transactions on account number 47829621 immediately." "Mrs. Walsh, may I ask the reason for—" "I have reason to believe my husband is committing financial fraud using our joint account. I'm the primary account holder. I'm invoking my right to freeze suspicious activity." There was a pause. "I understand, Mrs. Walsh. Give me 1 moment. 1 moment. That's all it took to cut off Trevor's access to our money." "The account is now frozen, ma'am. All cards associated with this account will be declined. You'll need to come into a branch Monday morning to complete the paperwork." "Thank you. One more thing. I also need to freeze account 47829638. That was our savings account, the one with $43,000 in it. Money I'd earned from photography jobs, carefully saved over years of 12-hour days and weekend shoots." "Done, Mrs. Walsh. Is there anything else?" "No, that's everything." I hung up. It was 11:47 a.m. By 11 a.m., I'd called our landlord. We were renting a penthouse in downtown Brooklyn. Trevor's choice, not mine. $6,500 a month. I'd wanted something smaller, more affordable, but Trevor insisted we needed to look successful for his business clients. Trevor ran a consulting firm, or so he claimed, Walsh and Associates. I'd never quite understood what he did, just that it involved advising startups on growth strategies and required a lot of business trips. Business trips to Boston, apparently, and Manhattan, and God knows where else. Mr. Chen, this is Madison Hartley Walsh. I'm calling about the penthouse lease. Mrs. Walsh, how nice to hear from you. Is everything all right with the apartment? The apartment is fine. I'm calling to inform you that I'm breaking the lease effective immediately. Breaking the... Mrs. Walsh, you're still under contract for 7 more months. The early termination fee is 3 months' rent, I know. $19,500. I'll wire it Monday morning. I need the locks changed today. Today? Mrs. Walsh, I don't understand. Is there a safety concern? Yes, I said. My voice didn't shake. There is. My husband is not to have access to this property. If he shows up, do not let him in. I'll handle all legal matters with my attorney. Mr. Chen was quiet for a moment. I see. Let me make some calls. I'll have a locksmith there by 2 p.m. Thank you. The next call was to our storage unit. Trevor kept boxes there. Old college stuff, he'd said. Business documents. I'd never looked through them. Why would I? I trusted him. I canceled that too. Then I called the country club where Trevor had a membership. $8,000 a year that came out of our joint account. Canceled. His subscription to some executive networking group. Canceled. The lease on his Mercedes. I couldn't cancel that one. It was in his name, but I made a note to inform my attorney. If he'd used joint funds for the down payment, I wanted it back. By noon, I'd systematically dismantled every luxury Trevor enjoyed on my dime. And then I waited. I knew he'd call. I knew the moment his card was declined, the moment he tried to access our account and couldn't, he'd call. I made myself lunch. Turkey sandwich. I wasn't hungry, but I needed to eat. I needed to stay sharp. At 1:37 p.m., my phone exploded. 1 call, 2 calls, 5 calls. I didn't answer. Text messages started flooding in. Mad, call me, something's wrong with the bank. Madison, this isn't funny. My card isn't working. Madison, pick up the phone.
What did you do? Why are the accounts frozen? You're being insane. Call me right now. I watched the messages pile up. 47 missed calls by 3 p.m. Then the voicemails started. The first one was confused. Mad, hey, I don't know what's going on, but there's some issue with our bank accounts. Can you call them? I'm in the middle of something important and I can't deal with this right now. The second one was annoyed. Madison, seriously? I just got declined trying to pay for dinner. This is embarrassing. Fix this. The third one was angry. What the hell are you playing at? I know you did something to the accounts. This is my money too. You can't just freeze me out. The fourth one was furious. Are you insane? I have business meetings tomorrow. I have clients. How will I explain being locked out of my own accounts? You're sabotaging my career. Call me back right now or I swear to God, I saved all of them. Then I finally texted him back. Just one sentence. Congratulations on your engagement, Trevor. She looks lovely. I hit send and turned off my phone. I sat in the silent apartment, my apartment now, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just emptiness. The locksmith arrived at 2:15 p.m., a kind, older man named George, who didn't ask questions when I told him to change every lock in the apartment. All of them, I said. Front door, back door, the storage closet, everything. You got it, ma'am. While he worked, I walked through the penthouse, really seeing it for the first time in months. The expensive furniture Trevor insisted we buy, the 75-inch TV he needed for watching sports, the bar cart stocked with bottles of whiskey that cost more than my camera equipment. All of it felt hollow, performative, like a stage set for a life that wasn't real. I stopped in our bedroom, my bedroom now. Our wedding photos sat on the dresser. Trevor and I, 3 years about, laughing in front of a flower arch at a vineyard in Sonoma. I'd paid for most of that wedding. My photography business was doing better than his consulting firm at the time. He'd promised to pay me back. He never did. I picked up the frame and turned it face down. "All done, ma'am," George called from the living room. "New keys for you. 6 copies, like you asked." I took the keys. They were shiny, new, impossibly heavy in my hand. "Thank you, George." He nodded, studying my face. "You take care now, you hear? And if anyone gives you trouble, you call the police. Don't hesitate." "I won't." After he left, I sat on the couch and turned my phone back on. 83 missed calls now, dozens more text messages, and one voicemail that wasn't from Trevor. It was from a number I didn't recognize, Manhattan area code. I played it. "Hi, this is Serena Castellano. I don't know if you know who I am, but I need to talk to you about Trevor. Please call me back. It's important, really important. Please just call me back." Her voice was shaking. She sounded young, scared. I stared at my phone. The mistress wanted to talk. How interesting. I didn't call Serena back, not immediately. Instead, I did what I do best. I investigated. As a photographer, I'd learned to see details others missed, the way light reveals truth, the way shadows hide lies. And in the digital age, people's lives were laid out in pixels and posts, just waiting to be examined. I made myself a cup of tea, chamomile, for the nerves I wouldn't admit I had, and settled in at my desk. Serena Castellano, at Serena Lux Life. I pulled up her Instagram again and really looked this time. Not at the engagement photo that had shattered my world, but at everything else. She'd been careful, I'd give her that. No direct photos of Trevor's face until today, but once you knew what to look for, the evidence was everywhere. I scrolled back 6 months. There, a photo of her hand holding a coffee cup at Bluebird Cafe in Brooklyn, my neighborhood. In the background, blurred but recognizable, was Trevor's Mercedes. 5 months ago, a photo of Central Park in autumn. The caption read, "Sometimes the best things happen when you're not looking." In the corner of the frame, reflected in a pond, was a man's figure. I zoomed in. Navy jacket. Trevor's build. 4 months ago, a selfie with the caption, "Dinner at the best steakhouse ever." Behind her, barely visible, was the interior of Morton's. Trevor had told me he was at a business dinner that night, said it ran late, came home smelling like wine and an expensive cologne. I'd believed him. I kept scrolling, piecing together a timeline. Every girls' night, Trevor claimed he had a work obligation. Every weekend, he said he had to meet clients. Every business trip, he'd been with her. Then I noticed something else. In almost every photo, Serena was wearing expensive things. Designer clothes, jewelry, handbags that cost thousands. I clicked on a photo from 2 months ago. She was holding a Chanel bag, the classic flap style, black with gold hardware. I'd priced that exact bag once for a client's product shoot. $8,500. Where was a 26-year-old getting that kind of money? I pulled up our joint bank statements. I'd been so busy with work, so trusting. I hadn't looked at them carefully in months. I just checked the balance, made sure our bills were paid, and moved on. Now I looked at every transaction. There, 3 months ago. Business expense, client gift, $8,500. The same amount as the Chanel bag. 2 months ago. Professional development conference, $3,200. I clicked on Serena's Instagram from that same week. She'd posted a photo from Canyon Ranch Spa in the Berkshires. The caption read, "Much needed self-care weekend." I felt sick. I kept searching. The evidence mounted like an avalanche. Business entertainment that matched Serena's restaurant photos, professional attire purchases that lined up with designer dresses in her posts, travel expenses for trips she documented. He'd been using our money, my money, to fund her lifestyle for 6 months, and I'd had no idea. My phone buzzed. Another voicemail from Serena. "Please, Madison, I know you don't want to talk to me, but you need to hear this. Trevor isn't who you think he is. He isn't who I thought he was. He lied to both of us. Please call me back." Lied to both of us. The audacity. But something in her voice made me pause. She didn't sound triumphant. She sounded terrified. Against my better judgment, I called her back. She answered on the first ring. "Madison? Talk. You have 5 minutes." "Thank you. Oh God, thank you." She was crying. "I don't know where to start." "Start with how long you've been sleeping with my husband." She flinched. I could hear it in the sharp intake of breath. 6 months. But Madison, I didn't know he was married. I swear to God, I didn't know. I laughed. It was a cold, bitter sound. "You didn't know." "He told me he was divorced. He said you and him had separated a year ago, that the divorce was almost final, that he was just waiting for paperwork. He showed me documents and everything." "What documents?" "Separation papers, divorce filings. They looked real, Madison. I'm not stupid. I checked. But now I think he faked them somehow." My hand tightened on the phone. "Keep talking." "He told me his consulting business was taking off, that he'd just closed a huge deal and wanted to celebrate by buying me the ring. He said he'd been saving for months." "With my money," I said flatly. "I didn't know." Her voice broke. "I found out about you today, this morning. After he proposed, we went back to his hotel." "His hotel?" "He said he was staying at the Lowell while his apartment was being renovated. Room 807. We went back there after the proposal, and he went to take a shower. His phone kept buzzing, so I looked at it. I know I shouldn't have, but it wouldn't stop." "And?" "And I saw the messages. Dozens of them. From you. Texts saying the accounts were frozen, asking what was going on, calling him by your married name, Walsh. And then I saw your Instagram. He follows you, Madison. He follows you. And his relationship status says married. And there are photos of you two together from last month. Last month. Trevor and I had gone to a work event together, a photography gallery opening. I'd posted a picture of us. He'd never asked me to take it down. I confronted him," Serena continued. "He came out of the shower and I shoved the phone in his face. And he didn't even deny it. He just got angry. He said I was ruining everything, that I was supposed to wait until he handled you, that the plan was working perfectly until I got impatient." "The plan?" "I don't know. He wouldn't explain. He just kept yelling that I'd messed everything up by posting the engagement photo. He said you weren't supposed to find out yet." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean, yet?" "Madison," Serena's voice dropped to a whisper, "I think he was planning to divorce you, but not until after he'd gotten more money somehow. He kept talking about securing the assets and one more transfer. He said something about your inheritance being just the first step." The first step. My grandmother's $89,000. The first step. "There's more money," I said slowly. "My father left me a trust fund. I get access to it on my 35th birthday." "When?" 3 weeks from now." Silence. Then Serena said quietly, "He knows that, doesn't he?" "Yes, Trevor knew. I'd told him about it when we first got married. $500,000, my father's life insurance payout that had been put in trust until I was old enough to manage it responsibly. He'd been waiting for it. The emergency surgery story, the urgent need for $89,000, it wasn't about his mother at all. It was a test, to see if I'd give him money without question, to see how easy I'd be to manipulate. And I'd passed his test with flying colors. Madison, Serena's voice was small, I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I am. I was stupid and I fell for his lies too. But you need to know, he's dangerous. When I told him I was going to call you and tell you everything, he grabbed me. He twisted my arm and said if I ruined this for him, he'd make sure I regretted it. Where are you now? I left. I grabbed my stuff and left. I'm at a Starbucks in Midtown. I'm scared to go home. He knows where I live. I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to hate this girl. She'd been sleeping with my husband for 6 months, living a luxury lifestyle on my dime, posting her perfect life on Instagram while I worked 60-hour weeks to keep our accounts full. But another part of me, the part that was starting to see the bigger picture, understood. We were both victims. Trevor Walsh was a con artist, and we weren't his first targets. Serena, I said, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Go to the police. Tell them everything. File a report about him threatening you, then send me screenshots of every conversation you've ever had with Trevor. Every text, every DM, every email. Okay, I can do that. And Serena, keep the ring. What? The ring. Don't give it back to him. That's my $89,000. When this is over, we're selling it, and I'm getting my money back. You're holding it as collateral. She let out a shocked laugh. You're serious. Dead serious. Now go. File that police report. I'll be in touch. I hung up before she could respond. My phone immediately rang again. Trevor, for the 96th time. This time, I answered. You bitch, he snarled. No pretense now, no loving husband act. How much trouble you've caused me. Hello, Trevor. How's Boston? How's your mother's recovery going? Don't play games with me, Madison. Unfreeze those accounts right now. No. No? Are you out of your mind? That's our money. Actually, it's my money. I'm the primary account holder. I earn 80% of our household income, and you've been stealing from me for 6 months to fund your mistress. Silence. Then, I don't know what lies that crazy girl told you. Serena didn't have to tell me anything. I saw your Instagram posts. I saw our bank statements. I saw everything, Trevor. Madison, baby, listen. I also know about the plan. His breathing changed. What plan? The plan to get my trust fund. The $500,000 I'm getting in 3 weeks. That's what this has all been about, isn't it? The emergency surgery story was just practice. You wanted to see if I'd hand over money without question, and I did. So you figured you could do it again with an even bigger amount. You're insane. You sound paranoid. Am I? Then why did you propose to Serena yesterday? Buy her a ring with my money. Unless you were planning to have 2 wives? Collect my trust fund, then divorce me and run off with her? The silence on the other end told me everything. Bigamy, Trevor? Really? That's your big plan? I'm not married to her. It was just a proposal. It doesn't mean anything legally. Not yet. But I'm guessing you were planning a quick courthouse ceremony before my birthday. Then you'd have legal claim to my trust as my spouse. You'd drain the accounts and disappear. You can't prove any of this. Maybe not. But I can prove you stole $89,000 from me under false pretenses. I can prove you've been using our joint accounts to fund an affair. And thanks to Serena's police report about you threatening her, I can prove you're dangerous. What police report? The one she's filing right now. She's done with you, Trevor. We both are. Listen to me very carefully, Madison. He went low, dangerous. You unfreeze those accounts, and we'll talk about this like adults. Otherwise what? You'll threaten me too? You'll hurt me? Go ahead, make more threats. I'm recording this call. I heard him slam something. A door, maybe. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting 3 years on you. Oh, and Trevor, I changed the locks. Don't bother coming home. Your stuff will be in storage, which I also canceled. You have 48 hours to collect it before it's donated to Goodwill. I hung up. My hands were shaking now, adrenaline flooding my system, but I wasn't done. I had one more call to make.
I called my attorney on Monday morning. Her name was Rebecca Torres, and I'd used her services once before for a contract dispute with a difficult client. She was sharp, ruthless, and didn't tolerate nonsense. Perfect. Madison, she answered on the second ring, I was wondering when I'd hear from you. I saw some concerning activity over the weekend. You were monitoring? When you froze 2 joint accounts on a Saturday and changed your locks, the bank's fraud department flagged it. They copied me as your attorney of record, so yes, I've been monitoring. Want to tell me what's going on? I told her everything. The fake emergency surgery, the $89,000, Instagram discovery, Serena, the threats, the plan to access my trust fund. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I'm going to bury him. Good. First, we're filing for divorce immediately. Grounds, fraud, adultery, and financial abuse. Second, we're getting a restraining order based on his threats to both you and Serena Castellanari. Third, we're reporting him to the police for theft by deception. That's a criminal matter, not just civil. Can we get my $89,000 back? We can certainly try. The ring is our best asset. If it's truly $89,000, we'll have it appraised and force a sale. The proceeds go to you as restitution. Serena has it. Even better! She'll be cooperative. She has no legal claim to it, and she doesn't want to be charged as an accessory. I'll contact her today. What about my trust fund? It's accessible in 3 weeks. We need to move fast. I'm contacting your trust administrator today to alert them of the situation. We'll put a freeze on any attempted spousal claims. Since you're filing for divorce before the trust disperses, Trevor has no legal right to it. Relief flooded through me. Thank you, Rebecca. Don't thank me yet. We have work to do. Come to my office this afternoon. Bring everything. Bank statements, screenshots, phone records, that ring receipt if you can find it. We're building an airtight case. That afternoon, I sat in Rebecca's office conference room, surrounded by evidence of my husband's betrayal. She had brought in her paralegal, an efficient woman named Yuki, who organized everything into neat folders. Okay, Rebecca said, spreading papers across the table. Here's what we have. Joint bank statements showing systematic withdrawal of funds disguised as business expenses, screenshots from Serena Castellanari's Instagram showing her with items purchased with those funds, text messages from Trevor containing threats, a police report filed by Ms. Castellano yesterday documenting those threats, and his confession of being married. Confession? I looked up. Rebecca smiled grimly. Apparently, when she confronted him with your texts, he admitted everything. She recorded the conversation. He explicitly states that he is still legally married to you, that he was planning to handle the situation, and that she needed to keep quiet. It's damning. Does he know she recorded it? No. And in New York, only one party needs to consent to recording. It's completely admissible. Yuki added, we also subpoenaed his business records. Walsh & Associates? It barely exists. He had 3 clients last year and earned $47,000 total. Everything else, the car, the lifestyle, the clothes, was funded by your photography business. I'd known Trevor's consulting work was slow, but I hadn't realized it was practically non-existent. So he's been living off me entirely? For at least 2 years. Before that, it looks like he had a decent income, but something changed. his business tanked, and instead of telling you, he just started spending your money and lying about it. What changed 2 years ago? Yuki pulled out another folder. That's the interesting part. 2 years ago, Trevor Walsh was named in a lawsuit. A former client sued him for breach of contract and fraud. The case was settled out of court, but it looks like it destroyed his reputation. No one would hire him after that. I never knew about any lawsuit. Because he hid it from you. The settlement included a non-disclosure agreement. He probably told you business was great while secretly watching his career implode. I leaned back in my chair. 2 years ago. That was around the time Trevor started being more secretive about work, when he stopped inviting me to company events, when he started taking more business trips. He was drowning, and instead of asking for help, he decided to take me down with him. What happens now? I asked. Rebecca leaned forward. Now, we go to war. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow with a request for emergency spousal support, meaning you get exclusive use of the apartment and he has to find somewhere else to live. We're also filing a motion to compel him to return the $89,000 or provide documentation of how it was spent. He spent it on the ring. Then we seize the ring. Yuki is already working with Miss Castellano's attorney to arrange transfer of custody. Once we have it, we'll have it appraised and sold. What if it's not worth $80,000? Then we go after his other assets. His car, his business accounts, his personal property. We'll liquidate everything until you're made whole. And the criminal charges? That's separate. I'm meeting with the district attorney's office Wednesday. Theft by deception, fraud, and if we can prove he forged documents to get that bank loan he mentioned to Serena, we might add forgery. He's looking at serious time, Madison. Prison. Trevor could go to prison. A month ago, that thought would have devastated me. Now, I felt nothing. Do it, I said. All of it. Rebecca and I spent the next 3 hours going through every detail. By the time I left her office, it was dark outside. My phone had been mercifully quiet all day. Trevor's number was blocked, and Serena had sent one text. Gave ring to my lawyer. I'm so sorry for everything. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. When I got home, my home, with its new locks, I stood in the doorway for a moment. The apartment felt different, lighter, somehow, like a weight had been lifted. I walked through the rooms, really looking at everything. The expensive furniture, the pretentious art, the designer kitchen that no one ever cooked in because we were always too busy or too tired. None of it was mine. None of it reflected who I was. I pulled out my phone and opened a notes app. Started making a list. When the lease is up, find a real apartment. Something smaller. Something I can actually afford on my own. Something with good light for a home studio. Sell the furniture. Keep only what matters. Restart Hartley and frame photography. No more compromises. No more Trevor saying I work too much or that my dreams are too small. Call my mom and dad. Tell them everything. Stop pretending everything is perfect. Learn to trust myself again. I stared at that last line for a long moment. That was the hardest part, wasn't it? Not the divorce, not the money, not even the betrayal. It was learning to trust my own judgment again after being so spectacularly wrong about the person I'd married. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Madison Hartley? A woman's voice, professional and clipped. Yes, this is Detective Sarah Chen from the NYPD Financial Crimes Unit. Your attorney, Rebecca Torres, contacted our office regarding your husband, Trevor Walsh. Do you have time to come in for a statement tomorrow? Yes, absolutely. Good. 9 a.m. at our office in Manhattan. Bring all documentation you have, bank statements, screenshots, any evidence of fraudulent activity. I will. Detective Chen, is this serious? Could he actually be charged?
Ma'am, based on what your attorney sent us, we're looking at multiple felonies. Theft by deception, identity fraud, and potentially wire fraud if we can prove he misrepresented himself to financial institutions. Yes, this is very serious. After she hung up, I sat in the silence of my apartment. Trevor was going to be arrested. Actually, arrested. Part of me, the part that had loved him once, felt a pang of something. Not quite sympathy, but sadness. Sadness for the life we could have had if he'd been honest, if he told me his business was failing, if he'd asked for help instead of stealing. But that life was never real. It was always a lie. I pushed the sadness away and went to bed. The next morning at the police station, I told my story to Detective Chen and her partner, Marcus Cole. They recorded everything, took copies of all my evidence, and asked pointed questions. Did you ever suspect your husband was being unfaithful? No. He was careful. He always had explanations, always had reasons to be away. And the $89,000, you transferred it willingly? Yes, but under false pretenses. He told me it was for his mother's emergency surgery. That was a complete lie. Detective Cole leaned forward. Mrs. Walsh, we contacted Patricia Walsh this morning, Trevor's mother. My heart stopped. And she's perfectly healthy. She hasn't had any surgery. In fact, she seemed shocked when we told her what her son had claimed.
She said she hadn't spoken to Trevor in over a month, so even that was a lie. His own mother. There's more, Detective Chen added. We ran a background check on Trevor Walsh. Turns out this isn't his first time doing something like this. What do you mean? 6 years ago, before he married you, Trevor was engaged to a woman named Vanessa Martinez in California. He convinced her to invest $50,000 in his business opportunity. Then he disappeared with the money. She filed a police report, but he'd moved to New York by then, and she didn't have the resources to pursue it across state lines. I felt nauseous. He did this before. We think you're not his first victim, Mrs. Walsh. You might not even be his second. We're currently investigating to see if there are others. Detective Cole added, the good news is this strengthens your case significantly. Pattern of behavior, multiple victims. The DA is going to want to prosecute this aggressively. I left the police station in a daze. Trevor wasn't just a cheating husband. He was a career criminal. A con artist who targeted women, made them fall in love with him, stole their money, and moved on to the next victim. How had I not seen it? 3 days later, Rebecca called me. Trevor's been arrested. I sat down heavily on my couch. When? This morning. They picked him up at the Lowell Hotel. He's being charged with grand larceny, fraud, and identity theft. Bail is set at $200,000. Will he make bail? Doubtful. He has no assets. You froze everything, remember? And his mother refused to help him. Apparently, she's furious. She told the police he's made his own bed. Good for Patricia. What happens now? Now we wait for the trial. In the meantime, I've got good news. We recovered the ring from Serena Castellano. I had it appraised by 3 independent jewelers. And? It's worth $91,500. Slightly more than what he stole from you. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. So we can sell it? Already in process. I have a buyer lined up, a private collector who specializes in estate jewelry. They're offering $89,000 cash. We take a small loss on the appraisal value, but you get your money back immediately without waiting for an auction. Yes. God, yes. Do it. Done. The money will be in your account by end of week. I hung up and burst into tears. Not sad tears, relief tears. I was getting my grandmother's money back. The money she'd saved penny by penny, working in her flower shop for 40 years. The money she'd left me because she believed in me. Trevor had tried to steal it, to use it for his own selfish purposes. But he'd failed. 4 weeks later, I sat in Rebecca's office again. The divorce is final, she said, sliding papers across the desk. Judge ruled in your favor on everything. You keep the apartment until the lease ends. All marital assets are awarded to you, which is basically nothing since he had nothing. And he owes you $89,000 in restitution, which you've already recovered through the ring sale. What about the criminal case? Trevor took a plea deal. He pled guilty to grand larceny and fraud. Sentencing is next month, but the DA is recommending 4 to 7 years. 4 to 7 years in prison? How do you feel about that? Rebecca asked gently. I thought about it. I feel free. And I did. The anger had burned out. The pain had faded. All that remained was a strange sense of clarity. I'd lost 3 years of my life to a lie. But I'd gained something too. I'd learned who I really was when everything fell apart. I was stronger than I thought. 6 months later, I stood in my new apartment in Park Slope. It was smaller than the penthouse, but it was mine. Truly mine. The walls were covered with my photographs. Not the corporate work that paid the bills, but my real work. Street photography. Portraits of strangers. The art I'd always wanted to create but never had time for. Hartley and frame photography was thriving. I'd taken on a business partner, a talented young photographer named Jasmine, who handled the commercial work while I focused on the creative side. We were profitable, we were growing, and most importantly, I loved what I was doing. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. Hi, Madison. This is Serena. I know I have no right to contact you, but I wanted you to know I started therapy. I'm working on understanding why I made such terrible choices. I also got a real job. Nothing glamorous, just retail, but it's honest work. I'm learning to live within my means. I'm learning to value myself for more than what men can buy me. I hope you're doing well. You deserved so much better than what happened. Thank you for not hating me completely. S. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, I'm glad you're getting help. We both deserved better. Good luck, Serena. It wasn't forgiveness, not exactly. But it wasn't hate either. It was just closure. I put my phone down and walked to the window. The sun was setting over Brooklyn, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. My grandmother used to say that flowers grow best after a storm. The rain washes away the weak roots, and only the strong ones survive. I'd survived my storm. And now, finally, I was ready to bloom. Epilogue. 1 year after Trevor's arrest, I received an unexpected letter. It was from the California District Attorney's Office. Dear Ms. Hartley, following the conviction of Trevor Walsh in New York, our office reopened the case of Vanessa Martinez versus Trevor Walsh. Thanks to your cooperation and the evidence you provided, we were able to secure additional charges against Mr. Walsh for his crimes in California. Miss Martinez asked us to pass along her gratitude. She said knowing she wasn't alone, that someone else fought back and won, gave her the courage to seek justice as well. Mr. Walsh is now serving a combined sentence of 8 years for crimes in both New York and California. He will not be eligible for parole for at least 6 years. Thank you for your courage in coming forward. I set the letter down and smiled. Vanessa Martinez, a woman I'd never met but who'd walked the same painful path I had. At least now she had some closure too. My phone rang. It was my business partner, Jasmine. Mad, you're not going to believe this. Remember that gallery that rejected our exhibition proposal last year? Yeah? They just called. They want to feature your street photography series. Full exhibition, 6 weeks. They're calling it After the Storm, Portraits of Resilience. I laughed. Are you serious? Dead serious. Madison, this is huge. This could launch your fine art career. After the Storm. How perfect. Tell them yes. Tell them absolutely yes. That night, I sat on my fire escape with a glass of wine, looking out at the city lights. Trevor had tried to destroy me. He'd stolen my money, my trust, my sense of security. But he hadn't stolen my talent. He hadn't stolen my resilience. He hadn't stolen me. I pulled out my phone and posted to Instagram for the first time in a year. The photo was a self-portrait I'd taken that morning, me in my studio, surrounded by my cameras and my work, sunlight streaming through the windows. The caption read, "1 year ago, I lost $89,000, a marriage, and my sense of who I was. Today, I'm exhibiting at the Riverside Gallery, running a successful photography business, and I've never been more myself. To everyone going through a storm, hold on. The bloom is worth it." Within an hour, I had hundreds of likes and comments. But the one that made me cry was from an account I didn't recognize, at Vanessa Mart. "Thank you for fighting. Thank you for winning. Thank you for showing us all that we're not alone. You're an inspiration." I replied, "We're survivors, and we're stronger than anyone who tried to break us." I hit send, put my phone away, and looked up at the stars. My grandmother always said she left me that money so I could build a beautiful life. She was right. I just had to tear down the lies first. The end.